Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video. We just hit 35.6k subscribers. Can we get to 36k by the end of the month? Please like this video down below and comment down below before we get started. And today it's been a while. It is Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there that are watching my channel. But in the meantime, we have to talk about California's special election that's going to happen on Tuesday. Not a lot of people are talking about this Californian special election, yet it is actually a real thing, and it is actually something that is real, that is happening, that the Democrats actually are in trouble of losing a congressional seat that Hillary Clinton actually won in 2016. She won the seat in California, which has been trending left in the district for election cycle after election cycle now. But Democrats are fearing this surprise pickup that could potentially happen on Tuesday. And right now it says in the suburbs of northern suburbs of LA and LA County, Democrats are suddenly concerned they could lose a seat that the party just gained in the 2018 midterms. The election in California's 25th congressional district is taking place in not only the shadow of the virus pandemic, but also the scandal that led to Katie Hill's resignation. So you do have the Republican energy that's building up after the Katie Hill extravaganza. So Katie Hill unseated Steve Knight in 2018, and then only less than a year later, she had to resign. Naked photos were published of her. I did various videos on it back in the day. This is actually the same seat that Chunk Yogurt ran for, but he only ended up getting, I think, 5% of the vote, 6% of the vote or so at the end of the day, and he got in 4th place, and we kind of trolled him on live stream about it because it was really funny. And now Democrats are running Christy Smith to be their nominee, who's been in trouble recently about comments that she's made about teachers cutting their funding, which is really bad, by the way, if you're a Democrat. If you're a Democrat and you're trashing the teachers, you're really not going to get away with it. Even Republicans like Matt Bevin in deep red states that were trashing the teachers, he lost in an upset. And you see this throughout. I mean, Ron DeSantis, he was doing good things for the teachers, and his approval rating was extremely high for a while there. He was like at 78%, even among Democrats. So obviously, if you're going to be trashing the teachers in the Democrats' course constituency, that's going to be a trouble. Mike Garcia has a great backstory to him. He is I believe he was a veteran, and President Trump has endorsed him. That actually might not be that productive in Garcia's favor, but he is a Latino, he is a veteran, and he would be a relatively good fit for northern LA County and would be a potential Republican pickup that they could actually get. So this is going to be something that's very interesting. Obviously, the pandemic has reshaped the campaign a little bit. This article talks about that. But we have to talk about what the past results have been for this election. Obviously, we already had a runoff through this. If you look at this, Christy Smith did get the most votes in the district. However, Democrats combined could not be able to top all of the Republicans. Christy Smith got 36% of the vote. Mike Garcia got 25%. Steve Knight got 17%, so they combined for more than Smith. Obviously, Chunk and some of these other people added to the Democrats' total. I think the Democrats got something like 46%, and the Republicans actually got, I think it was 53 or 54. But there is a stipulation to that because the primary turnout for Republicans in California, if you look back to 2020 and 2018, the Republicans outperformed the Democrats in many of these districts, even the ones that they went out to lose. So it doesn't necessarily mean just because the Republicans combined for a significant amount of the vote that they automatically are going to get that amount of the vote. So you do have to take that into consideration here. And from what we've able to see here in the expert predictions, or so-called experts, put the experts in quotations, by the way. Cook Political Report has it as toss-up. Sabato's Crystal Ball has it at toss-up. Politico has it at toss-up. Inside Elections has it as likely D, which I really begin to doubt that, and we'll talk about why. But in terms of polling, we have one poll from a Republican polling firm. It's not necessarily an internal poll because I have talked with people on the Garcia campaign that have actually been unaware of this poll being conducted. It had Mike Garcia up by 4 percentage points. So that's a benefit to Mike Garcia that he's winning the only poll, although it is an internal poll from the Republican Party. And I've heard more data a couple weeks ago. This was, I think, before Smith's controversy took place. Insider data that was unreleased from the Garcia campaign showed him roughly in a virtual tie. I think he was down 1 or 2. So it's very much anybody's game. And we look at this and we see it, and it's very prevalent. prevalent. Obviously, if you go back to 2018, California's 25th district, Katie Hill won it by a likely margin. I don't see that happening, especially because Mike Garcia's base is going to probably be energized because you have a scandal on the other side that traditionally always motivates the opposite party. It doesn't matter whether you are the Democrat or the Republican that's going to take over for them. It's basically just how it works. And we can see this as evidenced in the betting odds here. The betting odds, which were tied a few days ago, now have Mike Garcia over Christy Smith, roughly 65 to 35 here, which is crazy because Smith was leading big. The May 3rd, she was up 58. May 5th, she was actually up 58 to 43. That's been a big shift since then. This is actually after Trump endorsed Garcia. Trump's not that popular, so him endorsing Republicans in suburban California isn't necessarily always to their benefit. But for Garcia, you saw him go from 43% on May 5th. Today, he's at 64%. So honestly, people are saying that this could be a pickup, and all the data and all the insider data, the insider betting odds, whatever Vegas is saying about this, as you can see on Predict It, is actually very, very bullish in terms of the chances for Garcia. As you can see here on the betting odds for what margin Garcia will win by, most people are saying Garcia is going to win it by roughly 1 to 2%, maybe 2 to 3%. So 29% of the population that has placed bets on this say Garcia is going to win by 1% to 3%. Which is a big amount of people for this district that not a lot of people would conventionally expect to flip. So this is very good news for Republicans. I'm not going to come out and make a prediction because, I mean, it could go either way. If I had gun to my head, though, I would say Garcia has a little bit of an edge. It's going to go down the wire. I'm going to go live for it. We're going to watch. We're going to see what's going to happen. But if you're a Republican in northern LA County, if you're a Republican in California's 25th congressional district, it has to look very good for you ahead of the election on Tuesday. However, that's not to say that this election does not take place again in November. So even if Garcia does win, he still will have to hold the seat in November. And even if he does lose, he will have a chance to retake the seat in November. He will be going up against Christy Smith. So it's going to be interesting to see who holds the seat from now until January. And after the November election, you will see potentially somebody else. So obviously, I do believe that Garcia is probably more likely to win the election now. I think the election that's going to take place in November is going to be a little bit more of a toss-up. So if I have to make a prediction, which some people are going to want me to, but don't hold me to it, it's going to be extremely close, but I think Garcia could pull it off. However, you do have to take into consideration the Democrats are actually opening polling places in Democrat parts of the district. Again, they get really mad when Republicans want people to go to the polls and vote in person like a normal person, because if you can go to Walmart, you should be able to go vote to pick your leaders, which is a lot more important than you buying a little bit more extra food than you really need, in my opinion. So it's kind of funny that Democrats are willing to play that devil's advocate game, not only doing the mail-in ballots things, but they're keeping certain precincts open in the Dem areas. We'll see. Honestly, I still think that will have a potential to be a wash because Republicans are still going to be more motivated, but I'll probably say Garcia has a little bit of an edge, and the betting odds, if anything, are showing this right now. And the early voting, the early ballots that we've seen come in, a lot of the sources are saying it looks very, very, very good for Garcia. So we'll have to wait and see. Again, it's just preliminary data that we've seen, but it's all really favoring Garcia at this point, and it could leave Smith in the dust, which will deliver a big middle finger to the Democrats that Republicans were actually able to pick up a seat in the Los Angeles metro area. Would be an absolute hilarious blow to the Dems, even though it may be temporary. So we'll have to see. Obviously, you have a lot of different things when it comes to campaigning now. Everybody's doing everything a little bit differently than what they did before. Obviously, when it comes to campaigning, when you're actually looking at this, even Donald Trump is actually considering reshaping his November campaign. I've heard him talk about drive-through or drive-in rallies, which is actually kind of crazy. That he's talking about that. But in terms of the mail-in ballots, I actually think drive-through ballots would be an interesting thing. Instead of voting by mail, you just go to McDonald's and you fill out the ballot, you give it to them, they'll tabulate it. I think that could actually be something that we should look into, because I think there was 20 million ballots that went missing through the mail from 2016 to 2018. And when Trump says it and he's like, oh, Democrats would be, it wouldn't make it a fair election, he's probably just putting the blame on them. Obviously, mail-in ballots, when they're done right, actually favor Republicans, is what we've seen in Colorado, even though it was very, 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 very marginal. But mail-in ballots on a nationwide scheme, especially in California, yeah, that's not going to benefit the Republican Party. You'd have to be foolish to think it would, honestly. So obviously you can have a little bit of skepticism from that. So we'll see what happens in terms of the special election. It's going to be a fun night on Tuesday. Make sure you catch my live stream for it, by the way. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Please like this video down below, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. Join the Discord and subreddit. Donate to the Patreon and subscribe. Star links in description. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.